That's a very good point.
I
Well,
can only go with this on my show.
I have a couple callers. You want me to leave you on the line here? While I go
If
to
you
them?
if you gotta go, that's okay. I gotta take care of another. I gotta take care of another calling with. But thanks.
All right, Lewis. I will.
Because I gotta go. Join the celebration.
Message me your code, and I'll see if I can hop on this Saturday.
Thanks, Bradley.
Appreciate it. Thank you again, sir.
You got it.
Great. Guys, I have a caller that is 231. Hi, caller. This is Brad. Hey, John. How's it going, buddy?
John.
How's it going?
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Oh, this is not John. This is Adam. What's up, buddy?
Yeah.
What's up?
Not too much. I thought I'd just sneak in here and surprise you a little bit. I didn't get to. I only watched a little bit of the show last week. Got tied up in other things. I can come on and talk a little Michigan football. We got a big one coming up this weekend, don't we?
Yeah. You know what, Adam? You guys do have a big game coming up, man. I was talking to Tyler a little while ago, and I hate to say this, but I got to give the edge to the Badgers right now. I really do.
That's what I. That's
tough
the line was last I saw, a line was 3.5.
Okay.
And,
yeah,
I think that's. I think you got to give the home team a little bit of advantage, and especially in a big rivalry game. We haven't won in Madison in almost 20 years, so we got to go. You want to be the best, you got to beat the best. You got to beat them at home.
Right. Right. Correct.
I was thinking about it. Everybody's like geared up to go after that Jonathan Taylor Thomas there, and I'm gonna laugh at my own joke.
You could call him that, buddy. You could call him that.
And I think that's the wrong approach. It's something I coined the Jordan rules.
Okay.
And what the Jordan rules are is whoever the biggest guy on the other team is, you let him get his. Especially if it's the one, like when Jordan was on the, early in Jordan's career with the Bulls. Let Jordan have his 40. Take away all of his other options where he has to make all the plays. And make sure that you make your plays. Because even if Jordan scores 40, if the rest of the team only scores 35, they only have 75 points. You only need 76 to win. And that's kind of the way I would approach this. And I know that other coaches, you do whatever, you think will. But honestly, I'd rather see Taylor with, 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. Because that means as long as we take the rest of the team away,
right.
I really think that and really force them into leaning on him early in the game, by the fourth quarter, especially if you go back and you look at what Michigan did against Army that was so successful, was rotating our D line. We didn't try to play Army's game. We didn't try to load the box and stop them.
Right.
And when push came to shove at the end of the game and we needed a play, we had fresh bodies. We were able to get in there. They could make a play late in the game, and we won.
Right.
Right. And I really think that plays well against a team that likes to run the ball. You go in that 3-4. You play an extra linebacker. You play an extra safety. You don't overload the box, and you don't sell out to stop the run. You make sure that you keep everything in front of you, tackle in space, and then you go out and you make some plays on offense. And I really think that Wisconsin is not a team that's built to come from behind. And if we can get a lead, a 10-point lead early in the second quarter, and we force them to play from behind, I think we could shock the world on Saturday.
Well, I mean, again, bud, I agree with you. I think when Wisconsin was here, and again, I was telling Tyler earlier, I'm not trying to compare USF to Michigan because USF's nowhere near Michigan's caliber. But the whole thing that Charlie Strong said coming into that game to prepare for Taylor was he's going to get his yards. If we can keep him contained and keep him from getting the home run runs, as he calls it, those big 50, 60-yard runs. If we can limit those, we can win the ball game. If Michigan can do that this Saturday, yes, the Wolverines definitely can win.
And I really like that it's an afternoon game. We talked about that before. I really like it's an afternoon
Correct.
game.
Yeah.
Well, there's 12 o'clock kick.
Right. Because there's a lot of games that are on early this Saturday that are going to be good games. I mean, the only game that's on that's in the evening is the Georgia Notre Dame game. That's the only game that really is big at the end of the day.
Yeah. We got being in Tennessee and a big one, Tennessee and Florida. I know that's right up your alley.
Yeah. Now with Frank's out for the season, it's going to be interesting.
That kid's pretty good.
Trask is a good backup quarterback. I think, to be honest with you, Bud, I think if we can stay away from the mistakes, we can win that football game easily. And I'm not going to – I hate to say we're going to blow them out, but, on paper, that's what it looks like. We still have to play.
It really –
yeah.
Of course. And, I mean, and the same thing, nobody thought Georgia State was going to beat
Tennessee.
Georgia Southern, whichever it was going to beat Tennessee. Yeah. So, you got to play the game. I mean, there's just, know, if it was only played on paper, there'd be no reason to even suit up. Correct.
That's exactly right. So, I mean, USF has a bye week, and last week's game was awesome. Being there to see them score 55 points and set a single game record for most turnovers in the game with 8. That was nice. I mean, again, I posted a lot of stuff about that. Oh, it's a cupcake. Well, that's fine. You could consider that a cupcake, but guess what? They needed to win. They got to win.
Yeah,
we start conference play next week. Against SMU. That's going to be a mid-afternoon game. It's a 4:00 kickoff, so it's a mid-afternoon kick. The heat will still be a factor. So
is that in Florida?
It's in Tampa. Yeah, I'll be there. It's in Tampa. Okay. It'll be at Raymond James. So I'll be there in person again next Saturday.
But you could. That's next Saturday. Yeah,
next Saturday. 28. Yeah.
You could end up with shitty or terrible weather. Excuse me.
Yeah.
You can end up with really bad weather, and it could be a cold, nasty game down there too. It's supposed to be hot, but you get, it's a 4:00 kick. You get that 4:00 storm, roll through Tampa Bay, come up off the bay, and it could be a nasty weather game. So you never know.
Well, that's true, Bud, because actually the game against Wisconsin was delayed by an hour because of lightning, and this past Saturday against South Carolina State, it rained for about 10 minutes. So every game that they've played at home has been some kind of weather, either lightning or rain. So, yeah, I mean, Florida, you never know. This time of the year, we down here brace for hurricanes. This is the bad part of the year for hurricanes. This is usually the peak of the year for us. So we always, every freaking storm that comes off the coast of Africa, we always have to worry. Of course, we got lucky this year so far. I feel bad for the Bahamas because they got hammered. But I mean, we got lucky so far. So we're counting our lucky blessings. Counting our lucky blessings right now.
Yeah. I used to live about 30 minutes south of Mobile, across the bay from Pensacola.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where Pensacola is.
So I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know all about the canes coming up to, east, west, north, all the tracking and that stuff. So I have a question for you about the SEC and about them playing cupcakes. What do you think? I know you grew up, growing up in in Florida and growing up in the hard SEC country. What do you think about playing quote unquote cupcakes?
Well, but I guess it comes down. The scheduling comes down. I know as what they call cupcakes is, we schedule these schools, and I don't care which university in the SEC it is, from the Alabamas to the Auburns to the Floridas to the Georgias, whoever it is. we always have a cupcake on the schedule. We pay these schools to come down here and play us. Now, we don't hope that we get they beat us, because not only do you pay them, then they beat you. Doesn't look very good on the resume.
Yeah, no.
But I mean, it happens. I mean, I'm not saying that every school around the country schedules cupcakes on their schedule, because a lot of schools schedule pretty hard out of conference games, because they're trying to make their schedule stronger, to make, when it comes time for the playoff, to be moved in there. It helps. I think that helps a lot if you're playing a stronger school. It'll help you during the playoff run with the committee picking you, compared to. That's where I think, honestly, I'm going to say, but what's wrong with UCF? That's my thing on them. They don't play enough strong out-of-conference games to be considered a playoff team. Once they start scheduling the Michigans and the Wisconsins and the Floridas and all those schools that are big out-of-conference games, and they beat them handily, then let's consider them a playoff team. But until that happens, but they'll argue with you till you're blue in the face, because, like I said, they're USF's rival. So they're going to argue with you till you're blue in the face. Oh, well, we already deserve to be there. We beat all these teams. Well, that's great, because you lost last year to LSU. Now, yes, I know you guys beat Auburn the year before, but you lost to LSU last year. And I don't even know if they have anyone on their schedule this year that would even be considered a tough opponent moving forward. So, yeah, I mean, that,
I can pull up
as far as the cupcakes go, bud, that's my opinion about that with the cupcake thing.
And speaking of the college football playoffs, and we talk about a lot about expanding the college playoffs to 8 or 10 games, or 10 teams, not necessarily 10 games. And I had a question. Let's say how Michigan and Alabama, and I can't think of anyone else that really primarily has an end of the year rivalry game where Michigan plays Ohio State and Alabama plays Auburn.
Correct.
And I'm just okay. So in a weird scenario, let's say both Michigan, and it doesn't really matter which team's already, but of course for me, I want Michigan to be undefeated, so Michigan's going to be the undefeated team. And let's say it's a bad year for Ohio State. They're 5-7, and Michigan's 11-0, and they're ranked number 2 in the country, and the next closest team is 10-2. So, and let's say that in a future world where let's say 2022, 23, we're looking at that, the subcommittee decides to add 8 or 10 teams, and they give 2 teams a bye. And could you see a Michigan or an Alabama or an Auburn or an Ohio State resting players in the big game at the end of the year if they really didn't have anything to play for? They already had their bye locked up, or they knew they weren't going to get a bye, so they didn't really, and they'd rather rest a Shea Patterson or maybe a Fromm or whoever at the end of the year rather than exposing them. Could you see that being the thing, like in the NFL, how at the end of the year teams are resting their best players to keep them fresh for the playoffs?
Yeah, but you know what? That's a good question too to ask. I say yes, because you see a lot of the kids that are trying to go for the draft. They don't want to play in bowl games, because to them, unless you're playing for the national championship, they don't care. So they don't want to get hurt and hurt their draft status. So I would have to say, in the near future, if there's an 8 or 10 team playoff, I could definitely see, once you've clinched your spot, say, okay, Michigan's in, so we're going to rest Shea Patterson for the final game because it's not going to matter because Ohio State's out of it, but we're in. So, yeah, I could definitely see a scenario where you want to rest your players, but then the flip side of that coin is, do you want to rest them and not play them to keep them, in sync to go into the playoff? So I guess it just depends on the scenario with, have you clinched, have you not clinched? But I could definitely see, I would say, but I would say definitely you would have to say I would say a 60%, 65% possibility that they would bench their best players to keep them from getting injured going into the playoff, I could